What's up, my YouTube family? Welcome back to the Gaming Brigade. And last week I put out a video in regards to the fact that the raid-exclusive Foundry gear sets are now in the general loot pool, and you can farm for it anywhere Foundry is the targeted loot. Now, some of you reached out to the channel asking me to highlight one of my favorite builds using that gear, so that's exactly what I wanted to show you today. Now, if you happen to be new here, feel free to hit that subscribe or join button. If you enjoyed this, you could hit that like button as well. And remember, we are currently having a giveaway for an Xbox Series X. To enter, all you need to do is subscribe here or follow on Twitter, and the winner will be announced on July 4th of this year. So as I mentioned at the beginning of every build video I put out, I want to remind especially new and returning players that this is just a template. This is one of so many different ways you can put together a tank build, and the most important thing is try out different things and find something that truly suits your game style. As always, I'm starting off with a little bit of gameplay footage, then we'll get into the build itself, and then at the end of the video I'll show you a little more footage as well as go over how to get the gear in the open world. I'll show you just a few different methods in case you missed last week's video. Now you can see here, I'm on Legendary in the Summit, and you are a complete and total bullet sponge. Now one thing I want to mention is I'm still getting used to using a handgun. There are more aggressive builds for this, but for those of you that are just trying out Legendary, I strongly recommend this build. You can see here I'm just head on with the Chunga. I'm just taking all of this damage and it is not affecting me whatsoever. One of the other aspects I like about this build is you can use this solo or in a group. Now to be clear, I typically only use this build in the Summit because I'd rather farm in the Summit, to be honest with you. I really don't hit the Legendary missions that often because here you can choose your targeted loot, and anything you want in the Legendary missions you can get here at any time. So starting off with the Specialization, I'm using Technician for two main reasons. First of all, you get a 12% damage bonus to drones, skill proxies, and robotics, and since you're playing on Legendary, you're going to run into a bunch of those, and it also gives you the use of the Artificer Hive, which is going to truly help you with your shield health. So my primary weapon for this build is my handgun, and I'm using the Liberty pistol. Now if you don't have that, well, first of all, if you have the Regulus, you definitely want to use that. But if you don't have either of those, you can use a D50 with the Talent Close and Personal because you're pretty much always within close proximity to any NPC. Now one thing I want to point out is that with my other two weapons, both of those weapons typically have Close and Personal on them as well. However, I just have one version that I keep re-rolling the Talent, so I forgot to roll the Talent to Close and Personal. That's why you see, In Sync and Preservation. But anyway, moving on to the gear. Starting off with the mask, it's the one piece of Douglas and Harding we have equipped, so we get that 20% pistol damage. Now this is the named version, the Punch Drunk, which also gives us a 20% headshot damage bonus. Now if you do not have this mask as yet, any Douglas and Harding mask is fine, but if you do want to try to get this, it is a Dark Zone exclusive item, so your options are farming in the Dark Zone. Hopefully you may find it for sale one day at one of the Dark Zone vendors, or now that we have Countdown, remember that the Countdown vendor always has named caches for sale, and named caches can have Dark Zone exclusive items. So again, that does require you play Countdown to get the resources, but it is definitely worth it. Hopefully you can buy some named caches and wind up getting this mask. Moving on to the body armor, it's the first of four pieces of the Foundry gear set, and we're using all four so we get all of those gear set bonuses. You can see a 2-piece gives you 10% total armor, 3 pieces 1% armor regen, and 50% shield health, and 4 pieces makeshift repairs. And with that bonus, whenever you or your shield take damage, 20% of that amount is repaired to both over 15 seconds. Now, because we have the chest equipped, that has the talent Improved Materials, which increases makeshift repairs from 20% to 30%. Now, on all of these pieces of gear, I'm stacking protection from elites as much as I can. For me, I've only found an 11% protection from elites. That's the highest I've found in the game so far. I know it goes up to 13, but again, this is what I have for this build. Now, moving on to the knee pads. It's the one piece of Overlord. It's the Fox's Prayer. We're using that so we get that 8% damage to targets out of cover, which is truly, it's a monster of an attribute. I definitely recommend using these. It will help out a lot. Finally, my friends, we have the backpack. Again, this was a raid exclusive. Now it is in the general loot pool. It has the talent Process Refinery, which increases makeshift repair speed from 15 seconds to 10. And again, for those of you that are just trying out a Legendary build, that is truly going to come in handy. Now, in regards to my skills, and it gets a little cut off, you don't see them, but I'm using the Bulwark Shield and the Artificer Hive because that Hive is truly going to help with your shield health. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I want to highlight how to get these items, and it's very simple. They are no longer raid exclusive, so you can farm for them anywhere Foundry is the targeted loot. Now, I recommend farming Countdown because you're going to get so much loot in a short amount of time. But for those of you that don't want to play Countdown, or maybe it's not your thing, first of all, you need to try it. But anyway, putting that aside, you can farm in the Summit, you can farm like you can see here in the open world, anywhere Foundry is the targeted loot, and you can get the chest and the bag anywhere you see the symbol. One final thing I want to mention to new and returning players is remember that difficulty does matter when you're farming for these items. Now, they can drop on any difficulty whatsoever, but the higher the difficulty means the better chance of you getting better quality loot. Most of you know by now that one of my favorite aspects about putting build videos together is the family we have here at the channel, working together, helping each other out. So if you have any tips or tricks or build ideas you want to pass along to new and returning players, please let me know in the section down below, as the main goal is to try to help out as many people as we can. And as I start to wrap this video up, many of you have reached out to the channel asking me to put together a more aggressive legendary build. I will definitely do so with 15, with title update 15, we got a lot of great new gear. We have the Heartbreaker gear set. We have so many new ways to run things, so I promise I will be bringing you those builds very soon. One final tip I want to pass along to new and returning players is that, especially for those of you that are not used to Legendary, you're going to see a big uptick from Heroic to Legendary, from the aggressiveness of the NPCs to their tankiness as well. And when it comes to using a handgun, I mean, honestly, I'm pretty terrible at using a handgun. I do not use it that often. This is a build I like using, but again, it's not my go-to build on a daily basis. Give yourself time to get used to it, and my friends, you will definitely see it can be highly effective. With all that being said, I want to take a moment, as always, and thank you all for your incredible support of this channel. We cracked 32,000 subs last night. We're at 32,113 at the time of this recording, and I cannot thank you enough for your continued support, and I promise to keep bringing you more content. On that note, I'm going to let the rest of the video play out. However, like I mentioned at the beginning of this thing, if you happen to be new here, feel free to hit that subscribe or join button. If you enjoyed this, do me a favor, hit that like button as well. But most importantly, take care of yourselves, be kind to each other, and we will talk to you soon. Thanks again, everyone.